Have you ever wondered what an artist actually makes per year? Well, then this video is for you. It's the third one in a series for me. Last year I made one, year before I made one, and it's my effort to get rid of the starving artist stereotype. I want to give a realistic overview of what I, as a full-time artist, actually make per year, so that you at home, maybe you are an aspiring artist or you're already a full-time artist, can make a realistic plan in what it takes to actually be an artist in this world. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Roxy van Bemmel. I've been making videos on YouTube for about 3 years now. I share my studio practice. I make really large oil paintings based on self-portraits that are all about expanding and taking up space. I process my emotions through my paintings, and when I see a very large version of myself, and I say version because they're always a little bit different, that takes up the space that I actually want to take up, it's very therapeutic to me. Next to my original work, I also teach workshops in my studio. I have my workshop program called Work in Progress Workshops. I do live illustration at events for brands, but also weddings, for example. And I have an online shop with prints and whatever is available at that moment. Very occasionally, I do illustration commissions, pretty much rarely. Now, since I know you are curious about the actual number, last time I left it to the end. This time, without any context to this year, I can reveal to you that I earned a total of 27,563 euros. That excludes VAT or sales tax, which is like 9 or 21% based on the activity, but I left that out because that's just like going right back to the government. This is also pre-income tax. This is a gross amount. My costs came down to 71.71. What a nice number. Whoops, made a mistake there. It is 10,772. What was my cost for 2025? Next to that, I also bought a MacBook this year because my computer died, and that was an additional 1,800. If you deduct that total, you get to about 20,000 this year. Get 17 or 18. That is not a lot. But that's, again, the number without any context. So let me take you through the context and let's just talk through the quarters. Okay, so quarter one, gross, I made 22.65 euros. I'm gonna divide my income into the separate streams that I have. So the first one is my shop, which includes prints, but also the occasional original work, as well as markets. I didn't have any markets this quarter, but like for the rest of the quarters. For the shop, I made 342 euros. For YouTube and Patreon, I made 1,030, which includes a sponsored segment I did the December before. It's the only sponsored segment I ever did. I had some offers, but I didn't think it was worth it. Then for teaching, which includes workshops, I earned 893 euros this quarter. Miscellaneous and live, I didn't earn anything. Q1, always super quiet. January, February, I honestly do not expect to earn anything. But on top of that, if you've been a long-time follower, my dad passed away on March 1st, which made me unable to work in at least March, but also April and also the start of May. So following up to this became like a pretty difficult time in my life came after this. These numbers are obviously not enough. There was a lot going on, not even just the passing away of my dad, but let's just say I had to clean out my entire buffer that I had for those 3 months, and then I still did not have enough. Yeah, this is why you save up. Going to Q2, because this just sucks. Going to Q2, I don't know how, but I made a little bit more. I made 28.13 euros. My shop earned me 234. YouTube and Patreon earned me 339. Teaching earned me 474. Live illustration, this was probably May or June, earned me 1560. And then I had a miscellaneous income of whatever came up on my path of 206 euros. That's sometimes also just things for, if you're Dutch, pictorites, which means if you made a book or if you got into the newspaper, for example, you get like a little bit of money for that. Again, April did not work. May, little bit, but I started out. I did notice though, like, as I said, I had to clean out my buffer. Did not make enough, so I had help. It sucks, and my pride was swallowed. I'm really grateful that I got help, because grieving and also having to have financial stress is not recommended. So I was lucky that I could take away the financial stress. I could have sort of made it, but then I would have had to clean out all my savings for my student debt. I would have made it, but I'm glad that there was another solution for it. And I'm very happy for my partner for that. But not a fan of this time in my life. So we're gonna quit Q2. Q2 sucked, Q1 sucked. Let's get to Q3, because then it's getting good. One more thing I want to say about Q2 and Q1. If you are mentally unwell, the last thing you want to do is live illustrate or teach workshops. Those have been my biggest incomes this year. I did not want to paint. It's not like wanting to, it's just like I was unable to. And I just quit everything. I had requests coming in, and I just couldn't reply. And I took the time after to get back to those people, but obviously like all those opportunities had gone already. But yeah, it just sucks if you're mentally unwell, you can't work, and there's just no safety net. That's all I wanted to say about Q2 and Q1. Now let's get back to Q3. In Q3, I made a gross amount of 12,413 euros. My shop consisted of 484 euros. YouTube and Patreon was pretty consistent. It was 379. Teaching earned me 34.38. Live illustration earned me 6,022. And miscellaneous earned me 2,090 euros. This was also the quarter that I released my online course, so that is included in the miscellaneous. And yeah, this was busy. Summer is usually pretty quiet, but I had some nice live illustration gigs coming up. I had a lot of workshops, because this is the time where like teams and companies, they come together and they want to bond, they want to do like team building, and then they come to my creative workshops. A lot of requests, and I think almost all of them went through, which is different from the last quarter. This was like the seeds that I was planting in the quarter before, like in June-ish. I noticed that they were sprouting in this quarter. Let's get to the last one. Q4 earned me gross 10,072 euros. My shop, which was when it was open, earned me 1390. Then my YouTube and Patreon earned me 335, again pretty consistent. Teaching earned me 4909. Live illustration earned me 3239, and miscellaneous earned me 199. So, as I said, last quarter, almost every request went through. In Q4, I had so many requests, and I was on a streak of no's. Like, I don't know how many came in. It must have been like 15 different projects that did not go through, or that I was ghosted on, which is like the worst thing I think you can do if someone takes the time to respond to you. But like, I had a streak of no's. I don't know where it came from, but it was like, you know, karma, you had like a really lucky Q3, we're gonna get you back in Q4. So if some of those requests would have gone through, then it would have been a way better quarter, but it just happened to be that there were a lot of requests denied. And that's just what it is sometimes. Sometimes someone else got picked. Sometimes they didn't go through with anything because their budget was too low, or they found something else. I don't know. It just didn't happen. Even though it's still a pretty good quarter, there's also some payment included for next year, because I do have a few projects lined up for next year. And those payments are like advanced payments for next year. Funny enough, what I wanted to say about the quarters combined is that actually, even though it was such a shitty year, I made more than last year. Because I checked, I didn't know, but I checked. I made almost exactly what I made last year. I didn't make more. Last year I made 27,900 euros, but my costs were a lot higher because I exhibited a lot of work last year. And now I want to go through all of the different income streams and divide them by percentages, just so I can show you like what my income streams gave me and how much energy they cost me. So the total came down to 27,563. Let's start with the lowest thing. 8% of that, which was about 2,100 euros, was for YouTube and Patreon. 9% was my shop and my markets. So that also includes a little bit of original work. No, I did not sell any big paintings this year. I also barely painted. 9%. Miscellaneous, also 9%. That includes the course and some random stuff. Then 35% was earned by teaching. And those were mainly my workshops, because I barely teach at schools anymore. I think I did like one lesson at the beginning of the year, but it doesn't fit my energy anymore, because I get completely drained and then I can't work for like 3 days. So not for me. 39%, my highest income stream this year, was life illustration. And I think I have felt that, because I feel like I've life illustrated a lot this year. Those are all original illustrations, so I guess you could still say that my original art was the biggest moneymaker this year. It just wasn't my paintings. It was more my illustrations, and I make a lot of illustrations on those events. I do like 6 minutes per person. And that was my biggest one. The biggest one with 10,821 euros. Now, last year, my biggest income stream was actually my original paintings. But I also had a lot of costs, because exhibitions cost a lot of money. But that was my biggest one last year, and I didn't have exhibitions this year. But I did have a big thing this year, was that my painting was on TV. I checked the amount of people that watched, because it's like public information, and about 800,000 people watched the show in the Netherlands, which is insane. That's not the amount of people that I could get into an exhibition. So that has led to a lot of exposure in a good way this time. And there have been some opportunities that I don't know if they'll go through for next year. One of my goals last year was also to have one of my paintings at a public space. Now, it wasn't physically in a public space, but I guess TV with 800,000 people, you could say that that is pretty public. So I guess I did make that. All my other goals, I'm not even gonna name them. I made a video in it though, but this year has been mostly about surviving. I had my diagnosis process this year as well. I found out I have autism, and it's been like mentally the worst year, but it's also been mentally a great year because I finally know who I am or what part of me responds to things. Yeah, so these are just numbers, but I think you need the context to get what the actual year has been like. I'm gonna wrap this up. I don't want to make this video too long, but I want to thank you for tuning in. And thank you for being here with me, because even though you can see YouTube and Patreon is like my lowest income stream, I still really love making these videos, and it's so worth it to help other artists. I get such sweet DMs. Most of them are private, by the way, if you want to leave like a public comment so others can read it as well. Feel free to discuss in the comments how your year has been, because I think this year has been pretty terrible all over the world for the arts and culture with all of what is going on, which is not good. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a nice switch of the year, nice New Year's, and I will see you next year.